Everybody has been watching these tutorials that I've been posting about brow cover. So this brow over here is not yet covered at all. There's nothing in it. This one already has a layer of glue and spirit gum, and we're gonna get to this side in a minute. So the deal with the brow cover. So the very first one you saw was just the Elmer's glue applied over one layer of purple glue stick. That was the beginners. That one is really ideal for someone who's just playing with makeup and quickly wanting to switch in and out of looks. It's not something that you would do all the time. So again, that was the first one. Just the Elmer's glue by itself is for beginners. Not that big of a deal, pretty easy to do, really, really quick. I'm gonna show you how I do that in just a second. The secondary look, which was done with the color corrector, everybody thought this was a lipstick. It's not a lipstick, it's a heavily pigmented water-based color corrector. That was the second one. Now tonight, I'm gonna show you an advanced technique. All of these techniques are my own. I've never seen any other makeup artist ever do it this way. I've never seen a drag queen do it this way. They typically end up looking like aliens and shaving their eyebrows off completely, and it just looks bizarre. But I understand the struggle, right? So the reason I decided to switch it up and start changing the way I do this, and I've been doing it for a while now, for several years actually, and I just decided recently to share this, especially because of Halloween, and because I'm not really working right now other than freelance artistry. I don't work for a corporate brand anymore. So I decided to start showing my techniques and how I do things. So basically, I was not satisfied with the status quo of how the purple glue stick worked and looked. I think it's tedious. I think going over layer after layer after layer, powder and powder and powder and powder, honestly, it's time consuming. It doesn't look very good, and I don't know why anyone didn't think to simplify this or make it much more efficient or look better in general. I think overall, it's not that cute. Pretty simple. I don't know how else to say that. It's just not that flattering. And I am doing this live because so many makeup artists over edit. They edit everything. It's all filtered, it's all photoshopped. And I think as an artist, speaking as an artist, if the best part of your look is the edit, you're not a real artist. That's it. Just not a real artist. The other questions I got. So I didn't realize, because I'm fairly new to TikTok, that there is a cap on how much I can respond to people on TikTok. Didn't know that, so I couldn't respond to everybody. And there were a lot of people that are ill-educated on this subject and have no point of reference to speak on the subject because they've never seen this before. They've also never worn it or tried it, so I don't know how they get off on just talking out their butt. So a lot of people asked about liquid latex. This is liquid latex. As a pro artist, I use it frequently. I'm very well skilled with this product, but the reason the Elmer glue is more efficient with this type of technique is because a lot of people are allergic to latex, and liquid latex can be really finicky, and even as a pro artist, I even struggle with it sometimes. So it's not always the best option for you to do looks, especially when you're switching in and out of looks all the time. It just doesn't really work very well. So I was inspired several years ago by Trixie Mattel. I love her drag. She's probably my favorite character drag queen on RuPaul's Drag Race, hands down, period. I think the geometry and structural part of her face and her makeup is brilliant. I love it. Kimchi as well. I love that she goes to a different place with it. I love the performance. I love the character. I love everything about her. I think she's completely infectious, and I absolutely adore her. And it's like a dream to be on her channel, just to like have my face painted by her. Anyway, I also used to watch RuPaul a lot when I was a little boy, and I absolutely adore her as well. She had a talk show, and I used to sneak out of bed just to watch her and hope that my mother would never catch me. Anyway, enough of the rant. I'm sure you guys want to get ready and do this. If you guys have questions throughout the process, please feel free to ask. And I'm gonna go step by step, and I'm gonna do easy side, advanced side, okay? So liquid latex on gerbils is very hard to lay. Usually makes it dry too fast. That is correct. Liquid latex dries really quickly, which is why it is not ideal to use. It also doesn't distribute evenly enough, and you don't want to apply that directly to the brow because it can actually pull your hair out, which is also why I don't like the layers of glue with the purple glue stick either, because it just starts to get mucky and cakey, and when you start sweating and the sweat mixes with the powder and the glue, because it's water soluble, it starts to get gunky and it just does not look good. Doesn't read well. So are you guys ready? Are you ready? All right, let's do it. So I'm super energetic because I had way too much coffee today, and now we're gonna get started. So the very first thing you wanna do, I do have makeup on. I am gonna take off any residue and oil. You always wanna take a cotton swab or cotton pad or whatever you want, and you are going to do the brow. All right. So you really want to make sure you take off any oil residue, makeup. Do not do moisturizer during this phase. Not a good idea. So, and if any of you guys want to screen record it, you are free to do so as well. I like to back comb the brow too, just to make sure that there's no oil in there. I'm super oily, very, very greasy. I have been on stages before, so I do know how this performs. And you just want to pull all the oil and gunk out of your brow. You can see there's dirt. That's not dirt, actually. Excuse me, that's makeup. I am not a dirty person. All right, so we're gonna throw that to the side. Next step, the slick. This is from Urban Decay. A lot of people ask me if I work for Urban Decay or if I'm sponsored by them. I am not, actually. I just really like the consistency in their product. So, although lately I do feel like the product development team, they need to step it up a little bit. Okay, so deflick. So you're gonna spray it into the spoolie first. I'm a working artist, so I like to put things in smaller vials. So the reason I do deslick into the brow is because it's oil controlling. And that's very, very important when you are doing this technique, because there's not the buildup of layers of glue that you're trying to fight the breakdown with, right? Okay, next step, glue stick. This is how fast this is, guys. So you're gonna go against the brow first. It's the very first step. Against the brow, really get it in there. And then you're gonna comb the brow. So you want to comb the brow with that same spoolie, and you want to really, really work it. And you try to lay the hair down in its most natural position. I have a lot of downward growth, so I like to pull it down. All right, next layer. Glue stick again. And we're in the bathroom, by the way, because I think you should see this in real light, not filtered lights or studio lights. I have those types of lights, and it's only fair that I show you in this kind of lighting. So I really like to get this even overarching over the brow. Normally drag queens will tell you try to be as precise about this as possible, but because we're only doing one layer, it's a lot easier just to overshoot it, like so. Now I already pre-glued some product already, so it's glued, the glue dried already. And if you were ever a little kid and you used to play with Elmer's glue on your hand and see what it would do and pull it off and be like, oh, it's a scab. This is the same principle. So you're going to pull very carefully off your arm. I use my arm because it's flat, has a natural contour, and it just, the gravity pulls the glue down and makes it much more even when you distribute the product. So I gotta look in the mirror to do this because I can't really see. So you're gonna place it like so. And with your finger, flatten it. And voila, that's it. Pretty easy. Now with those edges, you see how it's coming up a little bit right there? Perfectly fine. Very, very carefully hit it with the glue stick, just to seal the edge, right? Dot, dot, dot. That. That's it. It's done. That is a glued down brow. Now, a lot of this, I say this is a beginner. When you use this technique, okay, you better make sure you tag me, by the way. Don't be fucking shady and shit. Tag me. So when you use this technique, you can see from the side profile how flat that looks. This shit's live. Remember, guys, live, right? Flat, perfectly flat, flush. At this stage, this is the stage you would do your powder, just to powder down the glue in the edges, right? That's what you want to do. You want to powder this part down. From there, you can go in with a cream foundation and a dry sponge. So a lot of people tried to rip me for using a dry sponge. Listen, bitch, this is water soluble. A sponge that is wet with water is going to break down the glue. That's not a good trick or technique. You want to use a product like a sponge like this, where you can press the product in and build coverage. You want to stick with creams or rapid dry liquid. I tend to use concealers or naked skin concealers, okay? So you can see that the brow is still visible through this. When I'm doing Trixie's look, like a fast Trixie look, I don't need to get this color corrected because the height of the black liner that she's using is so far up that it covers this anyway. So I'm not concerned about having to cover this when I'm doing this. I do YouTube. I'm not very good at it. Seriously, I mean, I'm a straight makeup artist. Like, I really am not that great with the camera stuff. So in editing, if a company wants to sponsor me and buy me a studio and all that, and put me together and put me to work, good. By the way, you know, I applied for an artistry position at Kendo and they rejected me, and they didn't even give me a fucking interview, and it just, anyway. Okay, so that's this side. This is the easy side. Pretty simple, and now you don't have to worry about all the buildup and everything else. Okay, so you guys ready for the advanced side? This is like sickening. You ready? All right, cool. Okay, so when I am doing a more thorough makeup or something for like a shoot and I'm working on a model, I tend to do this more for like models, less on myself. I am a gay man, by the way. Someone asked me that a second ago. I'm gay, I'm 36, and I'm Mexican, and what else? And I'm engaged. So when you're thinking about that, I'm engaged, I'm taken. Because I do male techniques for contouring as well. I don't do contour the way everybody else does. Okay, so let's talk about this side. This side is about being as effective as possible to be a makeup artist, especially to be like a celebrity artist or an artist that works on television or movies. You need to be very efficient, because I'll give you an example. I just recently did Angelica Ross's makeup from Pose for the Emmys, and they gave me 2 hours to get her ready. You have to know where you can cut corners and how to expedite things. So over here, because we're doing the black liner, I don't need to mix in any pigments to this one. It's done, it's pretty easy. But on this side, yeah, you can see the look I gave her. Go to my Instagram, you can check it out. On this side, this needs to be more precise. So the way that I handle this is glue, stick, one layer. Same process as I did over here. You're gonna do the glue stick, and then for the performers, for the ones that were concerned and claiming that it's gonna sweat off and I don't know what I'm doing, blah, 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 that's not true. Spirit gum is your friend. Do not put spirit gum directly on a naked brow, as it can dry and it will rip out your hair. You want to do glue first and then go in with the spirit gum. This is a matte adhesive. You can get it. Actually, I don't even think they make another adhesive anymore. They used to, which was like a glowier one. I don't know why they would want that, but this is the matte adhesive. It's very matte. So this is already dried down spirit gum. One layer of spirit gum, one layer of the glue stick. And normally you want to do the glue stick and then the adhesive and then go right to the strip. So because I did the spirit gum over and it takes a little bit to dry, we're gonna just do the purple glue stick again. So I'm gonna go in with a layer like so. Now, how many of you struggle to get the brow even. It's difficult, right? Even for me, it's difficult to do. But what I do is make sure you get overshot it, get a good coat, and then what I do, I already did it, I take a brow pencil, I draw the shape of the brow that I'm emulating. This is Raven, tinted. I pull it off, you see, I don't know if you guys can see that. Do you see the shape of the brow? I draw the brow, and then I paint the glue with the mixed in concealer pigment. This one is a Naked Skin Concealer mixed into Elmer's glue, and I paint it in the shape of that brow. And here is why. So we're gonna gently peel this off. They can rip, by the way. Someone asked me that the other day, if they rip. They do rip. So be very, very careful when you do this. See the shape? Now she likes to go a little higher on her brows. I've watched her do it a few times. Make sure we get it on straight as possible. I could have made that tail a little bit longer. My bad. Okay, so that's the brow. So now, this is the stage. Did you guys see how fast that was? Like crazy, right? All right, we're gonna get up real close. Oh, by the way, it's backwards. So, and I'll tell you why it's backwards in like just a second, okay? And I am gonna show you how to mix them. All right, so at this point, you're gonna take the adhesive. I don't like the brush that it has. It's a shitty brush. You can use a concealer brush. This one's like an old one from Laura Mercier. You can use the Laura Mercier one to do this too. And you just go over it really easily with the adhesive to seal it. The spirit gum is to seal, right? I'm gonna smooth that out a little bit better. All right, so let's get up close. So, let's lay that down a little flatter up in the front. So there wasn't any glue under here. So we gotta make sure that that gets down flat. Normally I'm not so much in a hurry. Okay, but do you see, you don't see any ridges of the hair? And once I put the spirit gum down on those edges, it will lay perfectly flat. You won't have to worry about it moving. This does not sweat off so easily, okay? All right, and then after you do that, you're gonna powder it. Then you're gonna put on your foundation and do all the things. But because we have this edge now, it's so much easier to take a brow pencil and literally follow the fucking line. And it's highlighted. So when you go in with your foundations, right? It's much smoother. It looks so much nicer. I mean, obviously this is not a good job right now when I'm doing it, but when you guys get the idea. I can apply makeup directly to this, by the way, as well. And then when you do the other side, perfectly symmetrical. You can get it perfectly even every single time. It's really, really easy to do. Okay. So let's talk how to even make this even better. I'm gonna level you up even again. You ready? All right, this is how fucking lazy I am. This is the laziest artist you'll ever meet. Okay, I take, if you've ever been like collecting Pokemon cards or any type of card or whatever you want, this is what I do with the Pokemon cards. Take a Pokemon card. You're gonna hold it up to your brow and you're gonna take a Sharpie. Where's my Sharpie? And you're gonna draw it. This way, it's your guide. You can see where it's gonna go. So these are stencils. These are ones that I create when I'm being lazy and trying to be much more efficient. I take a stencil. So this is Trixie's over here. She tends to like to highlight with white, so I mix it with white on this side and I stamp them on pretty fast. I do the spirit gum, everything, right? This one is Raven's. She tends to go more neutral base and just very like 20 shades of beige, which I love. I think she's an incredible makeup artist, don't get me wrong. This one over here is Alaska. So like I can hold it up and you see how bitchin' that looks? This is a transparent because she seems to play with color a little bit more than the rest. So this lets me play with more color. This is Mama Roo. Now, this is a little bit more tricky to do, but this is an ombre. I don't know if you can see that. Because she likes to highlight more here, or when Raven or Matthew Anderson used to do her makeup, they highlight her so drastically up here. I go lighter on the concealer up here and slightly 2 to 3 shades darker into the crease line so that when you put it on, bam, all that base color is done. You don't have to like build and do all these other layers. It just doesn't really make sense. Okay, so here is why it's opposite on eye. I know you would think that this is the left, or excuse me, my right eye. It's actually the left. It's the left because, and it's the same principle on your arm, because this surface skin is smooth, as is the plastic. It's much smoother to apply, and you're gonna let the gravity do its job. But the brush will always leave some slight streakiness to it, so you don't want that. You want to flip it over so you can see there's a little light texture to the front of it. Very, very small, not really noticeable, but when you flip it over, it's completely smooth. So you're gonna do, if you draw this on thinking it's the right, it's actually your left. So remember that, left, smooth, and then you just replicate it. So what you can do is just flip it over in half, and boom, you're gonna trace it. Make sense? And then you're gonna follow the same guideline. Okay, so let's talk about mixing and why I mix certain products. This looks crazy. All right, I could probably toast the edges a little bit, but we're not gonna mess with that because I have dinner right after this. So, okay, let's talk about mixing things. It's comical to me when people want to try to check me for stuff and they've never seen this technique, so they really don't know what they're talking about in terms of color correction or why I mix certain products. I have tried everything, okay? I have everything imaginable when it comes to makeup. Products from Mayron, products from Urban, NARS, Chanel, Dior, whatever, I've got it, right? Okay. I have tried using powder pigments before to mix into this. It doesn't work very well because I don't know about you, but I don't have a way to mill powder ultra fine. It's just not there. It doesn't work, right? It ends up coming out chunky and thick, and you'll see the density of pigment when it's too thick in certain spots, and those little granular things, it just doesn't look good, so don't do it, okay? I did all the work for you, pretty easy. Now, I have tried other concealers. Other concealers work okay, but Urban Decay's concealers are hands down the best for this process because they lay flat and they are rapid dry. They dry so damn fast, it's crazy. Okay, here we go. So you can use any color you want. Great for thickest and darkest of brows. The deepest brow, excellent for highlighted as you just saw. The white, great for those highlighted moments. If you're doing like a Trixie look and you know that that eye look is gonna be highlighted white, going with the white one, right? You wanna make sure that you're planning out the makeup and executing it seamlessly and planning ahead. This is really important, the key to expediting things and making sure that you're a lot faster, okay? So let's talk about mixing. All right, so I always start off with one plate. You're going to take a couple swatches. Be pretty liberal with it. What's really cool about these is they're ultra thin but heavily pigmented. So you can just take the plate and you're gonna do, I don't know, I usually do like 3 swatches. This is about, let's do 4. This is about opacity. You want it to be as opaque as possible, but not so much pigment that the glue doesn't have time to dry. You can't do this with creams, by the way. Creams don't dry like that. Then you're gonna take the glue. There's a little dry spot on that, gross. And then you are going to put on the glue. And you want to cover the pigment like that. Now there's a lot more glue, about twice the amount of product as there is the pigment, but it works. Okay, now you're gonna take a concealer brush. I like to use a brush that's about the same width of my brow. It's just easier to work with. This is my Kitco. It just lays super flat. You're gonna mix it. All right. Now you could paint it on the plastic. I really try not to do that. It is kind of lazy of me to do it that way, but it is efficient when I'm in a hurry. And I know I've got like a lot of people to do and a little time to do it. So you're gonna pick up the pigment. You see how like thick that looks? That's what you want. That's the consistency you want. You want to really make sure that it's mixed really well into the pigment. You're gonna take your arm, we're gonna use that same brow, and you're gonna follow the shape of that brow. Sorry, I know it's like awkward silence. And you want to work in like long broad strokes. You don't want to do like little ones because you want it to be as even distribution of product as possible. And the longer and the broader the stroke, the more seamless the finish. And then when I get to these edges, I actually kind of like to softly brush them out so that the edges are a little thinner than the rest. You guys see it? So it should be opaque. You should not be able to see your skin through that. If you do see your skin through that, you didn't add enough. So make sure it is opaque, and then you're gonna take a blow dryer. Don't let this air dry. If it starts to air dry, you'll see little bubbles happening as it's like the oxygen's hitting it. So you wanna rapid dry this. So medium to high heat, any kind of like cheap blow dryer is perfectly fine to use for this. And once it's dry, as you saw me pull it off, it takes about a minute to dry them down. Throw them on pretty fast. So I hope you guys really thoroughly enjoyed that tutorial and that demo. Share, tell your friends. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. Have a good night and mwah.